Welcome, everyone. We'll get started here in just a moment. Thanks for joining us. Give everybody a few minutes just to trickle in.
As you guys are joining in, use the pane on the right side and tell us where you're coming in from. We'd love to know.
Thank you guys for joining us. If you're just now popping in and getting connected to audio, we're just giving it a few seconds to let everyone join, get settled before we get started. But hearty thank you for joining us so far. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started, everyone. Hello again, and welcome to today's Client Intake Plus AI, the document foundation firms are missing. My name is Chad Helmlinger. I am the Director of Product Marketing here at SmartVault, and I'm joined by two of my lovely colleagues, and I'll let them introduce themselves, both Maddie and Fritz. Maddie, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie. I am the Manager of Customer Onboarding Education here at SmartVault. I've been here about 5 years, live in the Houston area. So excited to be here today, Chad.
Yeah, and my name is Fritz. I'm the VP of Product and Engineering here at SmartVault. I'm also here in the Houston area with Maddie, and I've been at SmartVault for about 6 years and super excited for all the new features and really how AI can really help you guys out. Excited for today.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you both here. I should have said I'm in the Austin area, so we got a Texas crew here today running our webinar. So here's what we're going to be covering today as we dive in. Let's give it a second here to load. Apologies, there was our intros, and you can see us there. But what we're going to discuss today is 5 key areas. Number 1 is the reality of AI today, where client intake breaks, AI on a document foundation, what this means for you and your firm, and then we will leave plenty of time for a Q&A session today. Now, quick housekeeping. This is a recorded session, and we will be sending the recording and slides afterward. Drop questions in the chat as they come up. We'll address them during Q&A or potentially as we go through our webinar. So let's dive in. Before we start, we love to hear a little bit about your firm and its AI journey, as well as ask you a few questions about how you've built your firm. So our first polling question here, and we'll have our backend team get that loaded here in a second, is how many returns does your firm complete annually? So we got a couple different scales there. Love to hear where your firm lands in this spectrum.
Yeah, looking like we've got a pretty good spread here, guys. Look at that. Yeah, we've got pretty much balance across the board here. Like, I've never seen that. That's awesome. Love to see people from all sizes because, you know, SmartVault is ubiquitous. It's the foundation for your firm. So.
Yep, and I love to see that everyone here has does at least one return annually, right? You're in the right place, all right? So thank you for that. We'll end this poll. We have another polling question coming at you. We want to kind of get a feel for who's here with us today. And so for our next polling question, we want to ask, what tax prep tool does your firm use? So we have Intuit products. That could be Lacert, Pro Series, Pro Connect, QuickBooks. We have UltraTax, CCH Access, Drake, or other. Special request, if you choose other, please drop that in the chat so we know what that is. But if you fall into one of those categories, love to see that also.
Very good. Lots of Intuit guys on this one.
Yeah, we'll give that a few more seconds to give everybody a chance. And thank you guys for participating in that. Now, as we close that out, let's ground us a little bit as we start today of where we are with AI. It's kind of that word you can't go more than 5 minutes without hearing, right, in our day-to-day. You know, AI is no longer experimental. It's already here, right? AI can make firms faster, more accurate, and more efficient. But to unlock that value, we need to be intentional. So let's walk through what happens with AI, why client intake is the perfect place to start, and what needs to be in place for AI to deliver. AI is everywhere now. Probably the understatement of the year, right? Nearly 88% of organizations use AI regularly, according to a recent study. And the global AI smartphone market is worth over $298 billion with a B. And 75% of workers now use AI tools as part of their jobs. Now, what does that mean for accounting firms, though? Well, this means that AI is built into your email, your tax software, and communication tools you use on a day-to-day basis. We've kind of moved from experimentation to expectation with AI. Clients expect faster service, and AI can help you deliver it. This opportunity is massive for us today in 2026, but the key is using it intentionally, built on the right foundation. Now, before we move on, I'd like to get a little personal with you. To kind of illustrate where AI really is everywhere, even in ways we don't think about, I wanted to mention a couple personal and professional examples. So here at SmartVault, I work on the marketing team, and we use a product or a project management tool or work management tool. You might have heard of it. It's called Monday.com. And inside there, there's AI note takers, there's AI sidekicks, there's AI task suggestions. It builds reporting for us, right? And we love that. And it's just baked into the product. And on the personal side, I love when Spotify builds me my own playlists based on my mood or my listening history, and presents new bands, new groups that I've never heard before that I fall in love with. Maddie, take a minute and tell us a little bit where AI has shown up for you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot, especially amongst our conversation. So I've actually come up with a couple more. But first off, if any of y'all have been on a call with anyone on my team, or most of the people at SmartVault, if you're sharing a Zoom or anything like that, we have something called Fireflies on there. It's an AI note taker, and it is so helpful because, you know, I know Fritz loves to say this, but if you see one tax firm, you see one tax firm, everybody's different. So we love to have that note taker on there to make sure we're documenting your workflow so we can make sure to help you guys the best. The other one I've been thinking about is I've been using other AI tools. I'm planning a wedding right now outside of work, and I will tell you, I'm not a lawyer. I don't read contracts. I throw those in. It reads it for me. It helps me negotiate, but it also helps me think of things. You know, it's not my day job. It's not something I do all the time. So it's been really helpful there too.
Great examples. Thank you for sharing, Maddie. And Fritz, how about you?
Oh yeah, AI. I actually I'll start on the personal side. I removed Safari off of my iPhone's homepage and I put ChatGPT. So when I go to, historically I'd Google something, I use AI to look at it first and foremost, and that has really sped up my finding of what I'm looking for because I could just kind of talk to it. Additionally, on the work side, it allows me to kind of compare SmartVault to what else is out in the market and making sure that we have the continuity and the right features that we're adding and talking about, hey, I want to build this product. How is an accountant going to feel about that is a really great way to gather information very, very quickly and really kind of build that cross comparison. I use the tool called Perplexity to do that one. So yeah, super exciting of all the cool things that we do on the development side as well. I mean, of course, everybody's heard about agentic development and stuff like that, where we look at that and we have the right tools and the right securities in place to make sure that we are all protected on our side.
Yeah, exactly. And thank you both again for sharing those things. So AI isn't futuristic, right? In quick summary, it's already woven into how we work, how we live. And the question isn't whether to use AI. The question is, are we using it intentionally and on a foundation that makes it accurate, secure, and truly helpful in our roles and in our lives? So as we move to how AI amplifies what's already there, that's what's really exciting. When your processes are strong and your data is clean and well organized, AI becomes incredibly powerful. AI works by aggregating and interpreting data. And when that data is structured, when it's secure, and when it's connected through a single source of truth, AI delivers compounding value. AI doesn't replace good processes, it accelerates them. Now, we titled this webinar today, Client Intake Plus AI, for a reason. If AI works best on a strong foundation, it leads us to this question: where should you start at your accounting firm then? Most firms answer back at us, client intake. Now, why do firms believe that that's a great place to start, is client intake to leverage AI? Well, there's a couple reasons I want to highlight here. First is it's repetitive, meaning hundreds or thousands of times a year, you're conducting very similar client experiences with documents and intake of those documents. Second, it's the first client-facing experience. So AI can make it faster and it can make it more personalized for each one of your clients' needs. And third, the gains are immediate. So your firm and your clients feel the difference, that improvement, right away. So here's what we know. Document collection is where firms see the biggest opportunity for improvement. And if you get intake right, everything downstream flows better. That's where AI has the biggest impact. We've done a few of these webinars in the past, and we've polled and surveyed and talked to customers and talked to potential buyers as well. And the number one thing that consistently comes up is that the collection stage, document collection, is where the biggest pain point and opportunity for AI to improve that stage comes in. I would dare say it's about 75 to 85% of everyone we poll, no matter how we approach them. Now, let's take a second to think about where client intake, though, breaks down currently. Now, intake is often referred to as that first mile of the workflow. And when it's smooth and when it's well structured, everything else, so all the other stages, so prep, review, delivery, archive, they work better. But when intake is disconnected, it creates friction. And let me show you for a minute how we got to this point. So tech stacks became very fragmented by solving one problem at a time. If I draw your attention down to this kind of bottom right corner, we've got this little roadmap, this little pathway, right? And in the beginning, long time ago, back in the day when I was a youngster, we had paper-based work, right? It was manual. We used to put things into those old metal boxes called filing cabinets, right? Collected dust. Made that cool sound when you opened them and slid open all the files that you could look through, right?
That's satisfying, right?
Very satisfying. And then we moved to early digital and tax software phase. This is where returns started becoming digitized, documents were still emailed. Then we moved to kind of what I'm going to call the point solutions era. This is where firms added tools for things like specific pain points. So they might have purchased a tool for e-signatures or communication or requests or storage, and they each solved a specific need. However, today, intake often lives separately from storage, which is separate from where work is done. Documents flow through multiple disconnected systems. But now, we're in what I'm going to dub the AI everywhere era, right? Here's the opportunity. When you connect those systems and you create a single source of truth, AI can and will work across your entire workflow.
Super exciting.
Now, here's the key. I'm glad you think so, Fritz. So let's take a brief moment here, though. There's something very important before we continue today that's important that we make a distinction of. Document management is not just storage. And those two things get confused quite often. Document management is the foundation your tech stack is built on. What should you see in a document management solution? You should see three things I'm going to highlight. Controlling how data flows across your firm. You should see preserving context, version histories, and accuracy. And you should lastly see security, and accountability, things like audit trails, permissioning, and compliance. Documents are the source of truth for all accounting work. When you're organized, when you're secure, when you're connected, AI can do incredible things. And DMS isn't storage, it's infrastructure. Now, documents touch literally every workflow and system, from intake to prep to review to deliver to archive. And a centralized DMS becomes the single source of truth that every tool, including AI, can rely on. And when your DMS is at the center, the core, and you see those other things in the infographic, they're kind of orbiting around it, right? When that's happening, then your tax software is pulling the right documents automatically. Your practice management, if you use one of those, reflects real-time statuses. And AI can analyze, summarize, and intelligently route documents with confidence. That's when AI becomes truly powerful, working with your entire workflow, not in isolation. Now, here's what's also really exciting about a connected foundation that gets stronger every year is that when your DMS is that center of your tech stack, let's think about it. Each engagement supports next year's work. Documents carry context forward. Prior year returns, organizers, notes, they're all structured, they're all accessible. Automation and AI get smarter over time. And this isn't about just this current tax season. It's about building a firm that compounds efficiency year over year. So let's bring it all together next with how intake sets everything in motion. You're going to see here on a slide 5 key stages of the tax prep workflow that we've identified as engage, collect, prep and review, deliver, and archive. And when document management is that foundation, intake sets up everything downstream to work better, faster, and more securely, as we've mentioned. And that's when AI can truly deliver a transformative value. And that's why you see that little yellow perimeter around engage and collect, because that's where it can make that most impact. Now, we've talked about why the foundation matters. Now let's talk about what that foundation looks like and how SmartVault is built to be that center point. Maddie's going to walk us through how SmartVault is the foundation. Then Fritz is going to show you how AI works when it's built on top of that. Maddie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so as Chad said, SmartVault really plays that foundational kind of player in your tech stack, being a source of truth, if you will, right? At its core, you're getting not only a branded client portal that will give your firm a professional, secure place to collaborate with your clients, but it'll be paired with customizable folder templates so you can actually standardize your organization across all client vaults. The intake and document collection, it can be automated. And the advanced search capabilities means you're not digging through folders when you need something quickly. From a governance perspective, we have automatic version control and audit trails, that activity log, which will help support compliance and accountability. Now, while unlimited cloud storage and client access removes capacity concerns as you grow. And of course, integrations with multiple tax softwares because we are literally built for accountants. I also have to mention our support teams based here in the US. They'll help you, they'll just help ensure you get great customer service, any assistance you may need in order to be successful with our product. All of this sits on top of a very secure infrastructure trusted by millions of users, tens of thousands of those being accounting professionals. And importantly, maybe most importantly in some circles, it is backed by rigorous security standards, including SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, which I'll let Fritz speak a little bit more on that specifically.
Yeah, thanks a bunch, Maddie. As Maddie was mentioning, we used to say security is in our DNA here at SmartVault, and the SOC 2 Type 2 is really proof of that. It's so if you guys familiar or not familiar with the difference between Type 1 and Type 2 of SOC, SOC 2 Type 1 is a point in time. They will say, hey, do you have locks on the doors? Do you have the right processes across your company? And it's going to check it one time. Now, the SOC 2 Type 2 is an ongoing process. And very recently, we are on our second passing of our audit, which is fantastic. We've completed the SOC 2 Type 1, then we got Type 2, and now we have, for a third round, we are now still and achieved our SOC 2 Type 2 compliance. Now, all of this is a lot on how we do business and how SmartVault builds things, how we run things internally. But more importantly, it is also foundational to what SmartVault is as a platform. And so we achieved the IRS 4557 and the FTC safeguard compliance mandates because of how secure our systems are. We allow you to have that controlled permissions. And I know Maddie was talking a lot about those activity logs. Those are instrumental. We're going to see exactly from what IP address, at what time did somebody even look at a document. And we have that going on every single document, every single folder that exists inside of SmartVault. And as Chad mentioned, we also allow version control. So if you have an issue and you need to go a couple versions back, we keep every single version. That document history is critical to being able to drive and make sure that you guys are finding the right information, make sure that you guys don't lose any of that information, which is very, very important. So why don't we see this thing in action, Chad? I think that that's about where we're at now, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Let's take it away.
All right, and awesome. And in the meantime, one question we do have as I'm transitioning my screen over here, we'd like to ask you guys one more question. Where are you and your firm on its AI journey? So we'll get that one up there. You see, you strategically place these things so that these questions so that you can quickly transition and everything. All right. Just exploring is right now. And I think that that's the right place to be. I want to be very transparent and clear with you guys. You know, yes, AI is in a lot of these things, but it is, you still want to be cautious. And I think that that's important. So excellent. Well, good spread here. What I'm going to be showing today as we end up in that poll, and I'm going to jump in and share my screen. There we go. We get the right one. All right. So what I'm going to be showing you guys today is how SmartVault leverages AI and how we have built SmartRequestAI to leverage the information that lives inside of the central document repository. So a little bit of orientation here. I want to keep you guys, because we do have some people that have never seen SmartVault before. Along this left side, I have some navigation areas. I have some common actions here in the middle. And I'm going to start here in the client management. So if you're using one of our integrations with, say, Intuit, which I know a lot of you guys are, if you connect us to ProConnect, ProSeries, Lacert, these clients get created in that printing process. Whether you're printing an organizer or a tax return, we actually automatically create those clients directly here in SmartVault. And so for today's demonstration, we're going to be using Jessica Edwards. Now, there's a reason for that. Is because, well, I have her 1040 from last year. And that's kind of the first stage of utilizing our SmartRequestAI technology. So here we go. We have Jessica Edwards here. I could see that she's been my client for a couple of years. And you see a lot of information here. So I could see that, hey, I've done her taxes a handful of times. If it would hurry up and load. Of course, you're on a demonstration, so it's going to go a little bit slower than you want it to. But there we go. Did it for a couple years. Most importantly, I have it from last year. Now, whenever we have that process, that life cycle, as Chad was showing with the tax prep, when you go to the engage, you sign the engagement letter, you could store that here in SmartVault. Collect, that's what we're going to go through here in SmartRequestAI. Prep, you're going to have all the information, all the source documents, all the answers centralized in one place here in the SmartVault portal. And then as you deliver that, again, you're going to print that from those tax programs. And now I know I saw some CCH, I saw some Drake as well, and UltraTax. We do have the smart routing technology. Smart routing technology will immediately create the engagement for you as long as that client already exists. So it's still a one button press to print the returns directly into SmartVault. And what that'll do is once it gets in there, we have it stored, and we know SmartVault is very well aware that what you just printed was a tax return. And that's going to be very important, because what we do is we take the archive step, that last box of that tax prep workflow. We take the client tax return that you printed from last year, and what we do is we bring that into our AI engine. Now, what's really important here is that there's a consistency to that. So you saw I had those couple of years of tax, what we see right here. I have those two folders, and what you'll notice is that these have a little shared folder icon on them. So I can see exactly what folders in the tax year for 2024 are shared to Jessica Edwards. So you can see that these have those little people on there. Now let's go see what it looks like from Jessica's point of view. So I have this skinny for a reason, because SmartVault is mobilely enabled. So if you're looking at this on your phone, this is what you're going to see. And I do want to point out that, hey, look at this colored one, document request or pending. That's going to be right there on top. That's going to be very important here in a few minutes. But for visibility in a webinar, I'm going to keep it in the large laptop view here. So Jessica can see all of those folders. Did I get logged out? I wonder if I did. I might have gotten locked out. There we go. We'll give it a quick second here. There we go. I can dive into her vault, and here's exactly the same thing. I can see only those documents. If we go back up to Jessica here, we can only see those folders that are shared to her. So this is that idea of having a central document repository. You have all of the documents for Jessica Edwards, whether they're internal or external, all in the exact same spot. And as we can see here in the TY24, I have her client tax return right here. So I have the previous year's 1040 ready to go, and it is in the appropriate folder, and it's connected to TY24. So that is her view. And same principle here. If you notice, there's only 3. And if we go into the TY24, you have your own source documents, your internal tax returns, your prepare copies, and things like that that are all going to live in the same location. So we've established that we have Jessica there, and she has a 1040 from last year. We're going to navigate over here into doc request. You can see I've got a whole ton over here. I'm going to navigate to my smart request, and I would simply choose this and start searching for Jessica. All right. So I can find Jessica Edwards, and I would go ahead and create. Now, it's going to give me an error because, hey, I already have one made for her, but that's totally expected. And so what you'll see here is that this is active. You can see the various statuses. This one was sent. This one's been completed by Brian and Mariah, and we have a submitted one here for Nick Basha. So what does this look like for Jessica? Remember how we saw that she had that document request pending. Let's go ahead and view into that. So here we have a document request for the tax engagement for 2025. Here is the landing page. What this is going to provide is a quick list of all the documents that have been uploaded and ability for me to submit this or go into the questionnaire itself. Now I have this one pretty basic at this point, because what happens is that when you create a smart request, we are going to grab that previous year's 1040 and run it through our internal systems. And it's very important. All of this is staying within the SmartVault infrastructure. We do not license this out to a third party. This is all in-house, in controlled, in our world. So you don't have to give and send your documents to some third party. That's one of the most powerful things and reasons why we can say that we are so secure, because everything is happening within our ecosystem. And so what it does is that we extract information off of that 1040 and we pre-populate things. So I can see that Jessica Edwards is single. I can go ahead and navigate next. Here's her. She lives in New Jersey. And what you'll notice is that, hey, she has dependents and such. Most importantly, we're grabbing some income and also a couple of these deductions. So all of this information is being pre-pulled from last year. We are able to look at last year's 1040 and say, hey, you had W-2 income, you had 1099 DIV income, you had 1099 INT, you were self-employed, so on and so forth. And this is meant to guide Jessica as she navigates. So if we navigate back into the income area, I can see a couple different areas. It's going to prompt me in that exact order to provide certain information. So here, upload all of your W-2s. I want to be very clear here. We're not asking them to fill in the boxes. We're not asking them to be TurboTax here, because you guys as the accountants are going to need these documents regardless. We are providing them a very structured way of saying, hey, provide your W-2, provide your 1099. These are the documents that we need. And most importantly, as we navigate further through the form, there will be other questions that come through. So for example, if I make qualitable charitable distributions, how much did I do, right? I'm going to either upload that or I can fill it in here. Same principle in deductions. If I have some non-cash donations, I can add those. These are going to be different. I don't necessarily have a document that's going to list out all of those things. I need to provide that information to you. So think of SmartRequestAI is just you sitting across the desk from your clients asking them questions that you have to have the answer to in order to be successful and complete their taxes. So what's really great about this as well, we're going to say we're on this non-cash donations and local independent school district is CCISD for me. Notice I started typing. I don't have to hit save or anything. I'm going to navigate out of that and say I'm your client and I'm at cheer, or if I'm at football, or if I'm at a sport doing something for the kids. They can actually pick this right back up on their phone right where they left off and say, oh yeah, I was on the BISD. And that's going to allow that continuity to allow them to continue down this path. And so they can save, they can navigate, and anytime they leave SmartRequest and they come back, they're going to land exactly where they were. This area down here is very, very important because as we add different sections, so if I, for example, add a farm, you'll notice that it slides back. It's adding those questions. SmartRequestAI is only going to ask the questions that are relevant. So if I don't say that I have a farm, we're going to omit any of those farm related questions. And I use that one because it's pretty exaggerated, if you will, on our little thing, because I learned way too much about farms during building this thing. And so that's one of the most beautiful things about this. And at the end of the day, when you're ready to go, you can go ahead and hit submit. Your clients will. And that's when you, the accountant, is going to get that email and says like, hey, Jessica Edwards is ready to go. Okay. So let's jump out of her world and back into yours. So you have complete control over this. You have the ability to send reminders. You can go in and go ahead and review it yourself. You can actually copy a link and email or text it to somebody. But we're going to go into the review state because I want to see, well, she's 37% of the way done. I can come in here and say, hey, I know her phone number. She's one of my best friends, right? I know her email. I can fill this out as the accountant on their behalf. I was speaking to one of our advisory council people this morning, and I was walking her through as she's starting her journey a little later. She's had a few technical snafus with her, hosting provider this year. But what we're starting in this process and this experience for her is saying, hey, I could hire a seasonal worker and set them behind one of my desks and meet with the 10-20% of the people that are not technical. And I don't have to do a whole lot of education because I can say, hey, go in here. And my grandfather, I'll be honest with you guys, is a perfect example of this. His name is Jerry. And Jerry Fritz is not the most technical guy. And frankly, when he goes and sees his accountant, he goes and sits down in a chair, brings a big old binder and says, all right, I'm here for the afternoon. And he pretty much sets up shop. And so as a seasonal worker in your firm, you could have them guiding them through. They can answer this right there on the screen. And now you say like, okay, Fritz, that's fantastic. But what do I get out of all of this, right? What do I get out of getting this information? Well, first and foremost, you have this awesome interface that those guys can use. You have, hopefully, the gathering from your actual clients, filling out this information and providing it back, and gives you the tools to do it either yourself, or if you wanted to say, hey, I need Gabby's birthday, I could send this back and say, hey, need Gabby's B-Day, right? And so what this will do is it'll actually tell them, send them an email directly to Jessica Edwards. And when she clicks the link from that email, it brings her straight to this page and says, hey, here's the comment in the email. I need her birthday. And here's the page that is exactly there that's necessary. Now, what do we do at the very end of it? Once we've got all this information in there, we're going to either generate that work paper, or we're going to mark it as complete. So we're going to do this generate work paper. And what this is doing is this is generating a PDF that has all of these answers on it. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. And so by first, we're going to start up with the connected desktop. So a lot of you guys, current customers will know this well, but this is kind of your day-to-day view. This allows you to open up files in their native applications on the computer. It allows you to see and search through your clients. So I already pre-searched Jessica Edwards. I can see who's linked to her, and I can see which documents are open. So I have Adobe over here on another screen, and I'm going to drag over this work paper. So what you see here is that I've got all of this pre-filled, and you say like, well, Fritz, that's a really long document. Yes, I'd agree that it is, but that's okay because over here on the right, we have all the bookmarks. And so if I want to go ahead and look at, hey, where's those, there's the farm income. I can look at various deductions. I can see that all of this information is pre-populated and it's been answered by Jessica, and I can see that. Now, I'm going to kind of switch gears here, and I'm going to show you guys a actually fully filled out one. And so we're going to jump over to Brian and Mariah. Brian and Mariah are dear friends of mine, and Brian is an operator down at Dow. And so I can see all of his information. I can see that he's married. He lives with his spouse, Mariah. She's a project manager, and they have 2 kids, Brian Gore II and Kitty. Right? So all of this information is already pre-populated. So this is an example of what it's going to look like for you guys once all of this information is provided. I can jump down because I say, hey, does he have any charitable contributions? Yes, he does. I can jump down and let me take a look at those those things. So here, example 529, contributed that. And as we go through these things, guys, this is where you can quickly navigate to those non-cash donations. You guys can quickly navigate to the different areas. So as you guys also might have noticed that this kind of follows the same flow that you see inside of your tax prep applications. And that's really critical because we want you to be able to have this on 2 screens and go down this path, or provide it to something like a Gruntworks or a SurePrep. All of this is a very easy to read for the AIs that they're using and employing. And you say, okay, but that's great. During that process, we asked them to upload a bunch of documents. Where are those at? Well, any of those things would be included in our source documents file. And so what you'll see over here is during that generate workpaper step, we're also grabbing every single document that, in this case, Brian and Mariah have given us, and we're compiling it into a single file. And so here I can navigate and see all the various types of documents that have been uploaded. And one thing I do want to point out, I didn't mention this earlier, is we went through and we were going through Jessica's experience on her side, the client's view, your client's view. We have something called the document scanner. And what that allows you to do is, using their phone, as I've mentioned multiple times, that's where they're probably going to be interacting with this the most. They can choose to take a photo, and it's one of those AIs that is going to be recognizing the document on the ground. And that is going to translate directly into this, because all of those PDFs will be being uploaded into this source documents file. And so that's just how SmartVault is leveraging AI. And as we continue to grow and AI continues to expand, SmartVault has tons and tons of exciting plans. Me being the VP of Products and Engineering, I have a wonderful vision of where we can build off of AI. And so just kind of round things out, everything is inside of SmartVault, and that's what really builds that foundation for whatever tech stack you're using, whether you're using UltraTax, whether you're using Intuit products, whether you're using Financial Sense or Carbon. It doesn't really matter. All of those workflows that you guys do either need a document to complete them or generate a document, and you need an easy way to exchange those documents with your clients. And frankly, we can leverage the information that already exists inside of SmartVault to speed things along. So with that, I'm going to pass it right back over to Chad.
Thank you, Fritz. I mean, this is amazing. Seeing SmartRequestAI here in action, it really shows what we've been talking about throughout today's session, right? That when AI is built on that document foundation, it just works differently, right? It's not bolted on, it's not integrated. And so with that, let's transition and talk a little bit about like this next question, which is, well, what does all of this mean for my firm? Right? We've polled you right before the demo, and you mentioned that you might be looking at tools, you might be ready to figure out a solution utilizing AI at your firm. And we've talked about the challenges that come with firms that struggle and continue to have that document chaos coming from the collect phase, where you have fragmented tech stacks, or you have disconnected intake processes in general. And we've kind of shown you the solution here too. in my opinion, right? A centralized DMS with AI built on top, where those documents are going to flow through your workflows and hit every stage efficiently is fantastic. So now let's talk about what happens next. So, a connected foundation that gets stronger every year. We highlighted this just before the demo, but we're going to wrap up with this one more time. Just as a quick summary, when you build your tech stack around document management, then each engagement supports next year's work. The structure, the context, the history, it's all there, as Fritz even showed us. Documents carry that context forward. So prior year returns, organizers flow automatically. This is not a solution just for now. It is a solution long-term and for your future at your firm. And that automation improves over time. So every workflow gets more reliable and efficient. So guys, it's not about, we're not saying this to help you survive this tax season, right? We're really saying all of this to help build a firm that compounds that efficiency, that accuracy, and that client satisfaction, most importantly, probably year after year. And what Fritz showed you with SmartRequestAI, that's that innovation that becomes possible with the right foundation.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, Chad. Let me jump in real quick.
Please.
So you're talking about building that foundation, and as we continue to evolve, I mentioned we've got lots of plans. To your point, building that foundation is just kind of stage one, because next year we're going to be able to display, hey, what did you do last year for donations? What did you do here? And that's going to be critical to making this, like you said, very cyclical with regards to the tax prep workflow. Because once you get the document into that archive and you're going to use it again for next year, notice that document that always stayed in SmartVault, it didn't have to go anywhere else. And that builds that foundation year after year after year.
Yeah. Now, guys, the next logical question might be, well, let's say I am getting very intrigued by this and I want to start implementing this at my firm. What would that transition look like, right? What does that process look like? And with that, Maddie, why don't you walk us through a little bit about migration, onboarding, and how our team helps support firms through that endeavor?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, we've stated a few times that, SmartVault would be the foundation and the source of truth. And that really does start with migrations, because the data this AI is using is only as good as the data brought over, right? So that being said, we do know a lot of you guys are coming from other document storage solutions when you get to SmartVault. So we do have a team here to make it feel as seamless and clean as possible. It's a big change in the day-to-day. So we're here to make sure, first of all, your workflows are up and running. So there's minimal to no disruption during the transition, and you're ready for your next season. With our assisted migration service, you would have one dedicated migration specialist to help out along the way, so you would not be left to your own devices. And I know sometimes you just want that advice and, okay, is this normal? So that's what we're here for too. But lastly, the service would include the use of our data migration tools. Those were built in-house. They are fully secure and penetrative tested. They don't use AI for now, but yeah, we'll see. For now.
Oh, and I also always have to tease about this. These are not avatars. These are not AI generated photos, right? This is actually the team that you'll be meeting with. So real humans here in Houston, Texas, and they're a fantastic bunch. So thank you for sharing that. Now, Maddie, let's transition over into your next topic.
Yeah, so there are multiple pathways to getting set up with SmartVault. We understand we all have busy schedules and different learning styles, so we try to have options to fit the needs of almost everyone. So honestly, my favorite and my personal learning style is very visual, hands-on. So I really like SmartVault Academy. This is role-specific, self-paced online learning modules. It's a combination of online videos, articles, and even activities that we recommend you complete in your own account to test things out. Again, I like to be hands-on, and I think that's the best way to learn this product. And then once you kind of have the fundamentals down, we do have more advanced courses and courses specific to your add-ons, that type of thing, for you guys to take. We also have our Smart Hub, which I'm going to show you in a moment how to get to that, but it's a really great resource that you guys can reference outside of just of our knowledge base throughout your lifetime with SmartVault. It's a really great hub to find videos, tutorials, guides, webinars, all that good stuff. And then probably the one a lot of you guys are more familiar with is our live assisted onboarding packages. So we do have smart hours for our customers who've been here a while and just want maybe kind of a one-on-one time with someone from our team to make sure, you know, your account is fully up to date, you're getting the most use out of SmartVault, or maybe you just purchased our e-signature subscription and you want one-on-one time to get that set up. You know, it can be so many different things. But then we also have our assisted onboarding, which is typically around 30 days, brand new firms, just to help you get your account set up, your clients invited if you're ready, and any add-ons you might have. But then for the larger firms, we do have our enterprise level kind of custom training, which allows us to have trainings with multiple teams or different teams. Sometimes we have a payroll team here and a tax team here, so we can tailor those trainings for those specific team workflows. And again, you know, although this is more so, those last couple things are more so for new firms. Let's say you got someone brand new and they just need a getting started type of a one-on-one, we can make that happen as well. I kind of mentioned the Smart Hub. So Chad, actually, if you could go to our next slide.
Sure.
We have live webinars and office hours every single week. You can sign up via our help site. You can ask questions during the webinars, just like in this chat and the question area. You can do that in ours as well. For the SmartRequestAI feature we were just taking a look at, we actually have 3 webinars a week right now on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I get off this and I jump on that. So it's really beneficial, so you can see how to best set up your account depending on your tax software, learn little tips and tricks on how other firms are using it. Like I almost jumped in earlier, Fritz was talking about maybe having a seasonal worker. Another really common workflow I'm seeing is them having an iPad in their waiting room and putting the request on there and then kind of working on it while waiting to meet with their CPA.
Yeah.
So that's another option. And then the office hours we host a couple times a week, I'll be honest, there's no agenda. That is an open hour with an onboarding manager. Right now, Sam is leading those. You can see him on the side. You can come in, ask your questions. He'll show you how to do that. He'll let you know if it's maybe more of an issue or something. He'll point you in the right direction, right? Right now, especially it being tax season, I know our customer career team is on the busier side, so I always recommend going to these office hours because typically there's only 1 or 2 of you guys in there, so it's a really great resource. I did mention, chat, if you don't mind, I would actually love to share my screen to show them kind of the Smart Hub and what's on there. So I'm going to take over if possible. Okay, perfect. So a quick way to get to the Smart Hub is actually directly from your portal. If you click this question mark, it will take you directly into the Smart Hub, which looks like this. If you do need to get in touch with care, you can access them here. But this is where you can sign up for those office hours. You can get to SmartVault Academy. I really love our video library. If I click on this, it opens up into a new tab. And you know, there are so many videos in here. We're
Really?
Constantly updated it.
Yes.
I just added a new one last week. As you can see, there's 83 videos. A lot of these actually sit within our SmartVault Academy courses too. So if you feel like you just need to watch a quick refresher video, this is a great place to find it. There's quicker versions of my webinar, essentially. You know, if you don't have time for a 45-minute webinar, you can jump on here, watch a 5.5-minute video, see if that helps. But we also have videos aimed towards your clients. We understand they have a lot of questions. Hey, what is this taking information, especially when AI is involved? So we have this video specifically for clients who want to send this out and say, yeah, this explains a little bit more about it 4 minutes. It's a really good overview. I will tell you for my webinar attendees, which let me show you how to sign up for that. So if you can get there here, but I like scrolling down to show you guys kind of these different options. These are my SmartRequestAI webinars. If you decide to move forward, or maybe your firm already did and you have some questions, you can go in and sign up for these. And I include, like I said, tips and tricks, but I also have a really good email template that helps you introduce this concept to your clients. So again, I think this is a really great resource that not many people know about, where you can find everything in one place. So I just had to highlight that for you guys.
Yeah, that's huge, guys. And Maddie and her team do such a wonderful job of really portraying the real how do other accountants do that. You know, when she mentioned she keeps scaling up that team. There's more and more onboarding people here, and you know, we see that value, and there's a reason why we see so many people jumping in and doing the onboarding, doing the migrations, because we find that people who go through that are very, very successful with SmartVault, and that makes it so much easier of a transition for you and your firm, your clients, and also it's really going to identify a lot of that value that we're talking about, right? There's one thing to see us talk about it on a webinar, and of course, all of us, we live and breathe SmartVault every single day, and we make it look easy. Maddie's team are the magic makers who are actually going to make it easy for you and your firm. Now, like kind of to this opinion, don't take it from me. Take it from some
Yeah.
real firm.
I was going to say, you don't have to just take our word for it. We definitely have some customers who have used and have real results from this. So I wanted to show you guys some more of our familiar face customers, let them do some talking. So yes, first of all, Eric Green, for example, founder of TaxRep Network, he'll tell you adopting SmartVault was one of the smartest tech moves he's made to future-proof his firm. He's estimated it saves him around $150K a year in billable staff time. So for him, that meant getting his team out of the weeds and into true revenue generating work. You know, things AI might not be able to do, right? Then there's Dawn Brolin. She calls SmartVault the backbone of her tech stack, the foundation, if you will. It's what lets her grow her client base without having to hire any more staff. SmartVault gave her the breathing room to actually live her life again, working from anywhere, making it to softball games, dance recitals, and just ditching the paper piles that used to take over her week. Yeah, and to round it out, Nick Basha, his firm is literally called the Balanced Firm. His story is all about flexibility. With SmartVault, he doubled his client base and somehow is working fewer hours. He and his fiance travel more often, and his practice still runs like a dream because everything is connected and running smoothly behind the scenes. I know these are just a few, but the theme is pretty much the same across the board. Real results you can feel, whether it's getting time back in your day, scaling your firm without hiring more people, or making the whole work life thing actually work. So SmartVault is changing the way these firms operate for the better.
Absolutely. So before we get into our final Q&A portion of today's webinar, we have a final polling question. And it is, would you like to connect with someone on the SmartVault team to learn more, get more of a customized experience here? We've got 3 options for you. Yes, if you're a current customer. Yes, you've been exploring some tools. You're not yet a SmartVault customer, or no, not at this time. Really appreciate your honest answers here. And then with that, we'll move over, we'll give it a couple seconds, and then we'll move over to the Q&A section as well. And thank you for those of you dropping those questions into the chat box already. And I see Fritz has been feverishly typing there and answering some already. So thank you, Fritz, for doing that.
I've been trying to keep up with it.
Sure, let's give it a couple more seconds here before we jump to those. Obviously, a lot of questions came through for SmartRequestAI during Fritz's demo portion, which is very exciting to see. So can't wait to get those answered here. All right, with that, let's close out our poll. And so now, Sorry, my little clicker seems to be double clicking instead of one clicking here, but wanted to highlight this as well. We have our recent resource. You can just scan the QR code listed right there to download our connected tax workflow ebook. And it really breaks down more of the things that we highlighted at a high level here today. So each of those stages, we go into in-depth detail on engage, collect, prep and review, deliver and archive. It also just helps you to see how that connected tax prep workflow really brings in even more value and time savings once you layer on AI and other solution points. So I'll give that a second in case you wanted to quickly scan that QR code from your computer. Now we can officially get into our Q&A session. So Fritz, were there any immediate questions there? I do have a couple that I've kind of earmarked, but were there any you wanted to quickly cover first?
Yeah, I've got a great one here from Austin. He's asking, let's say a client fills out the questionnaire but doesn't have their documents yet. That's going to happen a lot, guys. Just throwing that out there. So you always have the ability to view the smart request. You can see where they're at. And they have the ability to come back and upload all of those documents over time. And as we continue to evolve SmartRequest over time, it's going to make it even easier for us to kind of manage those documents into the right place in a more central way. But absolutely, I just wanted to point out that they can come back, they can submit those documents at a later time. That is no problem at all.
Awesome. So actually, I'm going to diverge away from SmartRequestAI for a second, and we're going to come back. I just see this one that landed from John. Are there any plans to integrate Drake like you have done with the Intuit tax products?
Oh, that's a great question, John. So Drake is actually supported through our smart routing technology. And so the way smart routing works is in Drake, when you go to print the firm, the little check boxes along the left side, you're going to choose like the federal and whatnot. And you print that to our smart routing folder, which is a folder that's going to live on your machine. And we actually take that document, read it, and then give the recommendation in Drake for, hey, we think that this is this John or this Chad or this Maddie. And all you have to do is sit there and hit enter on your keyboard and say like, yes, that's the right person. And that's confirming it. And it's actually creating that engagement. It is putting the document into the appropriate folder and prepping that to be used for SmartRequestAI. So it's a really easy workflow. The smart routing workflow works a little even more seamlessly with the CCH and the UltraTax side because we don't have to have that confirmation step. We can get enough information from those files that tell us and confirm to us which John it is inside of SmartVault. Drake doesn't have as much information that as we need, so there is that one little enter, but we do have it designed to where you can just hit enter on your keyboard. That's a fantastic question, and I think the last time I checked, we have hundreds of Drake customers that are using that today.
Correct. All right, another question. Let's get back into SRAI or SmartRequestAI questions here. I'm seeing a question around like send back to taxpayer and act as taxpayer, that feature within SmartRequestAI. And the question is, what happens if they've submitted it and the accountant or the CPA needs to send it back? How does that work? Could you double down on that for us, Fritz?
Yeah, absolutely. So navigating to the page where you want them to change an answer or finish answering is the first step. So you're going to go in and you're going to act as the taxpayer, navigate to that page. You're reviewing it inside of our software and say, hey, I need you to give me those non-cash donations. And so there's a large button at the top that you just simply say send back to taxpayer and put in a little custom note. And what that's going to do is it's going to go directly to that client's email, and it's going to include a link that they can click. Again, that click is available from their phone, from their laptop. They're going to log in, get back into their smart request, and provide that answer for you.
Yeah, I got two more quick ones. We'll do rapid fire here. It says, so this is a very tech savvy question here. So how is SmartRequestAI trained? And are you using firms' documents to train our AI model here at SmartVault?
Absolutely not. We do not train our models. Our models are out of the box models. And what that means is that anytime that we do an extraction on it, we are just providing it with a lot of data. And we are saying answer based upon this data here. And we do what's called prompts. And so we don't train it. And that's very, very important because you don't want your client's data getting out there. And that kind of goes back to that closed loop ecosystem. Everything is within the SmartVault AWS infrastructure. So we have those out of the box models that we're using, and those are not trained. They're not publicly available. They are hidden behind our walls.
Awesome. And then we have a current customer that joined us today that says, I'm a current customer. I want to get started with SmartRequestAI. How do I do that? I mean, there's lots of ways, right, to probably do that. There's a two that I'll highlight. Of course, you could email us at sales@smartvault.com. We have a contact us page where you can fill out a very short form that just messages directly to our team. We'll route that to the right person to get a hold of you. Of course, we're going to send this recording. And if you just land on smartvault.com, our website, there are a few different ways you could just get some time with us for sure.
And I also want to do a selfish plug for Maddie and her SmartRequestAI webinar that she does such a great job with it. Join that. That's the great way. We got one question here. Pricing's mentioning. Sorry, Shannon. That's not the first thing that we put on slides, but we charge them by the bundle. They are $9.50 if I remember correctly, and we sell them in bundles of 50. So $475 for a bundle of 50 of those things, and that's going to get you everything that I showed you today.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Shannon. And then final question here that I'm seeing is, we've looked at this person is saying they've looked at other AI intake tools, but they seem to be more standalone point solutions, right? That you've got to integrate into your workflow more. So maybe just summarize for us one more time, Fritz. I think you covered this very well in the demo, but just to wrap us up, how is SmartRequestAI different, and how does it actually connect to this tax prep workflow we've been discussing today?
Yeah, so as we look at those, you want to keep your documents secure, right? There's so many threats out there today, and so many people that are just maliciously trying to attack anybody and everybody. By keeping everything in the same ecosystem and not exposing that information to a third party, that's one of your biggest, strongest ways. There's no transit across. You're not downloading it down and then re-uploading it. You're not even leaving from our infrastructure. And so that is one of the key pieces there, is that we keep it all in-house. It's all included. Our price point's a little bit better as well. But when it comes to that current workflow, as we talked a lot about that smart routing flow, the integrations with the Intuit programs, once you get that tax return printed from your tax program, that is what's going to be used to power SmartRequestAI the following year. And it creates that cycle to where that document never has to leave. And a pro tip here, if you are signing up and getting onboarded with Maddie, you can absolutely use your connection to UltraTax or Lacert to print last year's tax returns. Even if you didn't use SmartVault last year, you can use that and print to it once you get it integrated. And that's going to be really fast for you to get started with SmartRequestAI.
I love that you snuck that in. That was a powerful last statement there to summarize, Fritz. So guys, thank you all so much for joining us today. We're going to leave you with a couple places else where you can reach out to us if you need to know more information or want to get routed to the right person here at SmartVault. But it's been a pleasure discussing with you client intake and how AI can help support being a great foundation for you and your firm this tax season and beyond. We wish you a very successful rest of this year, and take care. Thank you all for joining. Fritz and Maddie, thank you for hosting with me today.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.